Um, it depends on the relationship
Mm-hmm.
and the level to it.
Yeah.
It again, it's the girl's choice if she wants to stay
Mm-hmm.
or if she wants to leave.
Yeah.
Because women understand that the guy is not ready, right? Like, for example, like 20 years ago, I had a girl I was dating,
Mm-hmm.
and I really liked her, and I wanted to marry her, but I wasn't ready for that because I was struggling with my school and everything.
Okay.
So I couldn't give her the 100% attention she needed,
Sure.
right? So, and she knew that,
Okay.
and she decided to like just be friends and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And we was friends, and then she wanted to come back to relationship setting,
Mm-hmm.
and I relocated to another.
Oh damn.
Yeah. So we never got to be
Mm-hmm.
together, but we were still friends up to now.
Sure.
She's married and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes the ladies know that this guy is not ready for marriage
Mm-hmm.
because she knows what he's going through.
Yeah.
And so it's up to her to know if she wants to wait for him
Mm-hmm.
or not.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I think that's what tends to happen, or what I've seen kind of happen is like women will hang around because they're hoping that he would change his mind, or like she could do something that's gonna make him like wake up one day and think like, okay, like she is the one. Let's move forward and do it. But that's kind of a gamble that women take in relationships, especially like if they're ready to be married and the guy's not quite yet ready. How do you kind of align the two? And sometimes you got to decide, am I going to stay with the guy and just hopefully, within the next, 6 months, year, he's decided he's actually ready, or do I just walk away? And then, in some instances, they may walk away, and then the next thing you know, like 2-3 months later, he meets somebody else, and then like he marries her. And then she was like, what the heck? Like, I was with you for all this time, and you weren't ready to make that major commitment, but then you meet this new person, and now like you're married. So it's like, dang, that's a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah. And then I want to add something to what you were saying. Like, yeah, that happens. It also happens for men too, because you see some guys raising a lady in school, paying her school fees, but he didn't go to school, right?
Okay.
Well, he knows that this lady might like finish school and leave him for another guy that's educated, but sometimes life is a gamble. I always look at it, right?
It is, yeah.
You gamble, it's either you win or you lose, right? But that's why I always advise people, don't do something that you fully gonna regret or gonna hurt yourself. Do the best you can. If it happens, it happens. If it don't, it don't. So when a guy is dating a girl and the girl leaves and then he gets to another girl and 3 months get married, sometimes his condition changes in that 3 months. Or sometimes the new girl that came in is improving his life better than the other girl. You know what I mean? So guys want to get married. It's always in our mind, want to settle down, have family. But we need some kind of assurance or some kind of stability. Because a man is a leader, you know what I mean? So if you are at the peak of your career, right, and you're waiting to finalize it, and you get a lady that's understanding and that's like amazing.
Yeah.
As a guy, most guys will not lose that. They will change and marry her.
Okay.
But if he had a lady that was okay but wasn't amazing, they're like, you know what, you can wait for me when I'm done at my peak and I decide if I want to marry you. So yeah.
Interesting. All right. Well, so we have the wedding differences. We have when it comes to courting and dating before getting engaged. I've seen situations where people have dated for days and they decide to get married, and like you said, like they live long happy lives together. And you have other situations where they may have been dating for some years and then they finally decide to get married, and then like 2-3 years later they're getting divorced. So like you said, life is a gamble, and you just never know like how the cards are gonna be played. And I think for some people, what's best to do is just follow your heart. Like if you really want to, be married, like follow life's path that leads you down that way. And if you feel like you keep attracting people who aren't really interested in pursuing that, that what you're looking for, then like you say, we all have the ability to walk away from that situation. But I think a lot of times what happens is people think they can change the other person, so they stick around, and then you just end up letting yourself down. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to weddings, like I mentioned earlier, some of the weddings here in the U.S. are big productions, they're big to-dos, and I feel like a lot of times, like, that's really I think like you said earlier, like to show off status or something, or like just show off. I feel like a lot of times, like, people have these over-the-top weddings because they want to, like, prove a point. Like they want to show, like, we got money and we got status and all this other stuff. And, like, for me, the emphasis about why the man and the woman are joining together is being lost in the big production of, what's happening on that particular day. So, like, that day is for the bride and for the groom to profess their love before God and their family and friends. And the people who are in attendance for the wedding are people who are in agreement with the union. They support the groom and the bride, and they want to wish them well. So I would assume that's kind of the same setup in, like, an African wedding too. Yeah,
but there's a little difference.
Okay.
Because I might be wrong, but people don't do marriage counseling before they get married.
In Africa?
No, like here.
Some do.
Yeah, but it's not like a big most people kind of a stuff. Because some people get married and they don't know what marriage is about.
Okay.
Because the ladies always have a dream of that day.
Okay.
Everybody comes, they're celebrating her. She's wearing a nice gown, and she's gonna have a bling bling and everything. So it's like a dream for the ladies. But some ladies, when you ask them what is marriage, they don't know.
Okay.
That's why you see a lot of, like, deviation after marriage, after the wedding, right?
Okay.
Well, before it used to be, before you get married, you go for a counseling in a class, so you understand the expectation of marriage.
Okay.
And then you can ask yourself, do I still want to go with this or not? You know what I mean?
So what's your definition of marriage?
I mean, marriage for me is a lady and a man coming together as one to bring a family, bring kids, and raise them to carry on the lineage in existence to the next lineage.
Okay.
And within that lineage, the two couples care for each other, push each other forward, and perform their marital roles, where the man is the leader and the woman is the follower of the man, right?
Okay.
So within that aspect of it, they become one, where they leave their mom and dad and family and go into a new home and produce a new family, right? Within the same lineage of the last name of the man. Yes, that's what for me is marriage. What is marriage for you?
Along the same lines, a man and a woman joining together their lives. That's what the Bible says. A man, leaves his mother and father, he cleaves to his wife, and the two shall become one. So that's what I see a marriage as, a unification of two lives coming together as one. Yeah, and the man being the head of the home, the leader of the home, and the woman is to be, submit herself to him and be submissive, and be his helpmate. So, he's the head of the household, but she's there to support him in carrying out, his wishes for his home. And I agree too, is to create your own family, to create a lineage, to carry the family's name forward. To be, for me, I feel, marriage is also, being a representation of God's love for us, his people. And that's just the perfect kind of love that's there. And then everything else that kind of encompasses that, like, you know, running a household, paying bills, and just, you know, communication, all of those things kind of, you know, wrap up into it. So I agree with you. I feel like, and I think you may see that more so for individuals who are more religious than others, that they will go get like marriage counseling before they get married. Yeah. But like, I agree with you. I feel like a lot of people get so caught up in the wedding part. You know, like, well, you know, like the ring and the dress and just like all of the theater and the theatrics and the dancing and spraying the money and all, like they look forward to all of those things. But then when the cameras go away, when all the guests go home, you take off the pretty dress and the makeup. You have your husband standing in front of you, or you have your wife standing in front of you. And then guess what? Life happens. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, he goes to the bathroom and he uses the bathroom. He forgets to put the toilet seat down.
That's the first thing.
You know what I'm saying? That's like the first thing that happens. Or like, you know, he's brushing his teeth and he leaves toothpaste in the sink. You know, so like those kind of things start to happen. And you're like, man, like, why won't you do this or why won't you do that? And then you quickly start to realize, oh, this is real life. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't prepare for this. I didn't know I had to cook a meal for him every night. You know, or I didn't know that I had to do this, or I didn't know I had to do that. So I think also it's like expectations. You know what I'm saying? So like, if marriage counseling is important, I would agree. But I think what's even more important is knowing who you're choosing to marry and like what their expectations are, and then how you guys can join your lives together. Because a lot of people, we get wrapped up in the love aspect of it because you have that connection, you love that person, and I don't doubt it. But like, at the end of the day, love can't be the only thing.
Love
you know
comes
what I'm
and
saying?
goes.
Yeah. It comes, that's perfect. It comes and it goes. Like, it ebbs and flows. It kind of goes up and down, peaks and valleys, right? So like, today you can be all lovey-dovey with your husband or your wife, and then tomorrow they do something to piss you off and you can't stand aside of them, right? So there needs to be something else that's kind of holding you together beyond the love. You know what I'm saying?
And that's why some people don't understand why marriage is for better, for worse. And nowadays, people only think it's only for better. Whenever it gets worse, I'm out.
Well,
you know what I mean? And that's why like marriage counseling is important, because it gives you opportunity to know how your man expects you to do as his wife. Because marriage, the major thing about marriage is the responsibility.
Okay.
That's what keeps people together. The man knowing that if you stay out late, you gotta come home. You gotta let your wife know, or you gotta come home before late time. The man knowing that it's no more like when you're single. It's a new life. It's a new way of structure, right? The woman knowing that she cannot do everything she wants without the husband agreeing. You know what I mean? So it's different. It's a new way of life, and you understanding that. Yeah. And before you accept it, because I always say, if you cannot do it, don't get married. Yeah. You know, and marriage is like, it's work. 90% of the time is work and it's sacrifice. Yeah. It's not a lovebird. It's not an ocean of seabirds. It's work. Yeah. You have to work. You have to sacrifice. Yeah. Because you're doing that for the kids, and because two homes most times create a better kids of the future. So you doing that for your kids, and you doing that for lineage. You do that for your family. You know, because before you say yes I do to a man, you must make sure you know his bad and his good, and you're willing to incorporate the two. You know what I mean? That's why I always advise people, before you get married, at least bring out 2 months or 3 months and live with the girl. Every day. Live with her every day for 3 months, 4 months. Then you can know if you want to get married.
Gotcha.
So that's simple.
There's a lot of people that would disagree. And I think it may deal with, again, like religion and what your religious beliefs are, but like a lot of people may feel like it's not okay for a husband or a guy and a girl who are engaged before they get married to live together. I'm of the mindset as well, like, I want to know who I'm living with. I want to know who I'm going to be, with for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So like understanding their mannerisms, how they live, how they balance their checkbook. Are they responsible? Can they fix things? Like all those things are important to know about the person that you're going to marry and you're going to pledge your life to. You know what I'm saying? So as a woman, I would want to know that my husband is someone who I can fully rely on for almost everything. Like he's very resourceful. He can handle the household. You know what I'm saying? He can handle the household. Like if there's things around the house that needs to be fixed, that even if he's not the most handiest person to get it done, like he is resourceful and knows who to contact to make it happen, and that he's able to take care of our financial affairs. Because especially for a woman that has been doing it by herself for a very long time, it's really, really hard to hand over the checkbook. You know what I'm saying? Okay, I trust you to take care of stuff. You know what I'm saying? So does he take care of his bills? How is stuff like that? So I agree with you. I think there should be some type of cohabitation that happens. I know some folks may disagree with that, but I agree too, because again, once you marry, for better or for worse, it's all those little things, like leaving the toilet seat up or toothpaste in the sink,
or him farting at night,
him farting in his sleep, yeah, you know what I'm saying, or him burping and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? If all those things you didn't factor in, those things. That's funny. Those things are important to really consider, and so you were mentioning a vow that people sometimes say, when they get married, for better or for worse, and that one can be a bit tricky for some people, because everyone's doing great when it's for better, when things are up and we're happy and we're getting along and everything's kind of fitting the way it needs to, but then when it gets to the worst part, when the storm comes, people are just ready to run for shelter, but in opposite directions, not running to each other. So when you think about for worse, is there something that you feel as a man that could occur, Lord forbid, in your marriage, that would be you know what, this is not for me anymore?
Yeah, because there's a reason why marriage lasted for our forefathers compared to now, because they sacrificed and they never gave up on each other, right?
Okay.
Which comes to worse, right? The hardest thing for me in a marriage would be you marrying a girl, right? And then she maybe is sick.
Okay.
And she has emotional imbalance.
Okay.
And maybe let's say she lost her mom and she couldn't process it. And her mom was so close to her, and she's lashing out on you because you're the only person she can express.
You're the closest person to her.
And you're trying your best to handle it, but it becomes too much, right?
Okay.
And you you know what? I don't think I want to be with this lady again.
Okay.
That's one scenario. Another scenario can be you want your kids to learn your culture and your language, and she's making it difficult.
Okay.
And each time you want to teach them, she's talking bad at you in front of your kids, disrespecting you,
Okay.
and making you uncomfortable as a man. That's something that you have to apply knowledge to it, able to incorporate with her, right?
Okay.
And then thirdly comes the sickness. She's paralyzed.
Okay.
Maybe you marry her, she got a nice backside, nice front side, and she's paralyzed, and she loses her backside because they got to take out the fat there and put somewhere. And then you're looking at your wife, you're like, damn, is that the lady I married? You know what I mean? Then you start feeling do I want to be here, or should I marry another lady? So there's so many stuff that can happen with physical, mental, and situation, whereby a lady, the man loses his job, right? And he can't provide for the family no more. and she takes all the burden of the bills and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's like, why do I need this guy again?
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's no more providing for the family.
Yeah.
And then she might leave, take the kids, and she's out.
Oh goodness.
Bye, Felicia.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And then leave you struggling, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's why they say you never know the wife or the man you marry until the worst comes.
Yeah.
Because it's all good when it's loving.
Yes.
But when the worst comes, that's when you realize
Yeah.
who you really married.
Yeah.
You know. So that's my own idea on that worst, because worst can be so many things,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
You know.
You said something pretty important there at the end, and I read this quote the other day, and it said, I'm going to misquote it, but something along the lines of like, calm seas don't make a sailor. And so it's the idea that you really get to see the skills of the sailor when the waters are rough.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So when I think about for better or for worse, and like, you know, what I could view as like a breaking point from a woman perspective when it comes to the worst, I think for a long time ago, for a lot of women, the worst was if the guy cheated, if the husband had an affair with someone else, or he fathered children outside of their marriage. For a lot of women, that could have been deemed like the worst and something that they're not able to forgive, and they may unfortunately decide to end the marriage and move on from there. But what I think is interesting is that like cheating has become like so normalized. So like a lot of times you may see like mothers encouraging their daughters, well, if he cheats, well, girl, that's not a good reason to leave him because he cheated. Like, your dad cheated. And as if like it's okay because your dad cheated, so I should accept that my husband's going to cheat as well. And it's definitely going to be situational. It's going to depend on the person. But like I said before, I think a lot of things can be avoided if the man and the woman would just have a conversation before they walk down the aisle and make it official. You know, so like in a situation where like you explain how, you know, a woman may be dealing with some mental illness, and it might be very difficult for the husband to like help her with that, or she is the kind of woman who does not respect her husband, so she is, you know, like talking back in a rude way, or just like demoralizing him in front of people, in front of the children, and she's just not giving him the honor and the respect that is due to him. Or like, you know, Lord forbid, something happened to her, she's in an accident and has, you know, she's paralyzed or whatever the case may be, and again, that's going to be a strain on the husband. So I think it's important to know, like, in those types of scenarios, like, you know, what would you be able to handle? And I think right now, like, talking, you can say anything. Like, you can say, like, you know, like, if you were to get paralyzed today, like, I would be by your side no matter what. But then you don't know until you're actually in the situation, you know, how you're going to react and what you're going to do. So, I think it's important for people to know kind of like what their limits are, and just communicate that to them. Like, here are some of my non-negotiables. Like, you know, I trust you as the man to be the provider for our household. And like, you know, that is the responsibility that I'm wanting you to take on, and you're going to accept that. But like, if in a situation where, like, Lord forbid, something were to happen to where, you know, you lose your job or something impacts your ability to provide, then we need to make sure that as a couple we have a contingency plan. So if it means like in the interim, like we've saved up money to where we have like enough money for 6 months to cover all of our household expenses while we try to figure out another game plan. Or if it's like, I know I need to do something as a woman to earn more for the household to kind of keep things moving and to support the husband until he's able to kind of get back on his feet. But like, if a woman is used to a man being the provider, and then something happens to where he's no longer able to provide. Now she has to step up, and then she's feeling like you said, like, why do I have you here when I'm the one that's doing it? I think it's because they didn't take the opportunity to communicate those expectations in the beginning. So now you're in the moment, and like, I don't know what to do with this, and like, I didn't sign up for this. I didn't sign up to be the provider. You're the provider. So yeah, so I mean, all those things are important too there. But I think, you know, the worst is going to depend on the person. But I think it's just important, you know, for people to communicate those expectations. And sometimes those conversations are hard to have, you know what I'm saying? Like, to hear, like, you know, my husband would consider leaving me if I were to become paralyzed. Like, that sucks. Yeah. Like, I wouldn't think to leave my husband because he became paralyzed. But if that's his breaking point, that's his breaking point, you know? Yeah,
everybody has a breaking point.
Yeah.
Just like I wouldn't advise a woman to leave her man because he cheated.
Okay.
You know, so because,
like I said, cheating now is the norm. Yeah. So like,
but still have people that will leave.
There, I mean, you know, people know what they are willing to handle, and like, I think it also too depends on like, what else am I getting, in, you know, out of this deal. So like, if my husband is someone who is very financially stable, right, and he has been able to afford me the opportunity to retire early, and like, I were to find out that he was having some fun on the side, I would not be happy. Number one, like, I'm not in like, yes honey, go ahead and have, you know, all the girls you want. I'm not doing that. But then also, like, he is giving me a type of life that I've grown accustomed to. Yeah. So like, I'm going to pause before doing anything drastic, because like, if I were to leave that situation, that means that the financial support is cutting off as well. Yeah. And not to say that's the only reason why I would be there, but there needs to be something else, right? And then also too, like, guys, like, I don't want to say like women give guys like the green light to go cheat, you know what I'm saying? But here's my thing, like, if y'all got an arrangement where your wife, your girlfriend gives you a hall pass to go play, like, don't be disrespectful. Like, don't have the stuff like brought up in their faces. Don't have your little side women thinking they can talk to your main woman. Because that's one thing I'm not going to stand for, is the disrespect. Like, know your place. You feel me? So, like, again, I'm not condoning the cheating, because, like, I don't think it's right, because men would not like it if we did it. But, like, if you gonna be out here, just, like, show some respect to your woman. That's all I'm saying. Just show her some respect.
Yeah, but the funny part about it is, like, when you come to Western world, like, you see couples inviting another person to sleep with. Sure. And to me, that don't make no sense. Like, and sometimes the guy would like the other person better and wants to go, and then the wife is heartbroken. And see, I said, why you heartbroken? You brought somebody to your home.
You know why?
For fun.
You know why I think that happens sometimes? Yeah. Because I think some couples, they get bored.